Hi there, how are you doing? I hope you're doing good. And firstly, I'm really sorry for not being quite regular on this YouTube channel or on any other social media platform. I've been keeping very busy these days from past few months because the online classes have gotten started, and much of my time is spent there with the students. So I really get little time, and my other team members are also not finding enough time to come online and kind of interact with you. So I'm really sorry for that. I promise you that going further, I would try to be as much as regular as possible and try to interact with you and share with you whatever is possible. Kind of keep adding value to your preparation. That's my promise to you guys. Okay. And another thing, the place where I'm in right now, it's outside. It's quite heavy traffic, so you keep getting these pa poo pee kind of sounds. So kindly don't mind any kind of background noise here. We try to shut them out as much as possible, but it's quite heavy traffic in Bangalore. So kindly ignore that. So coming to the topic, we have come up with this something called as Mains Monday, guys. So every Monday, what I'll do is I'll pick up a mains based question. Okay, I'll pick up a mains based question and I'll come to you, and together we'll try to analyze that question and try to come up with a proper answer to that very question. Okay, so this is the first Monday here, and now I'll come up with a question and together we'll solve it. Okay, let's get started. So alright, so let's understand today's question. It reads, revival of traditional food system can be a solution to the malnutrition issue we are facing today. So explain the significance of Poshan Abhiyan in this regard. So please understand, here they are focusing on reviving of a traditional food system, and they say that this can be a solution to the malnutrition problem that we are facing as a country today. And they want to know, the demand of the question is, they want to know the significance of Poshan Abhiyan in this regard. How Poshan Abhiyan can fix the malnutrition issue, and how? By reviving the traditional food system. So we have to explain the Poshan Abhiyan mission here in solving the malnutrition problem, through the lens of reviving of traditional food system in India. Okay, I hope you got the entire demand of the question. So understand the demand of the question first, and only then we'll be able to kind of write it and provide justice to it. Okay, so let's now get into the very answer writing process here. Okay, now as I said, the significance of Poshan Abhiyan in tackling malnutrition through revival of traditional food systems. Okay, so let's understand how we can possibly try to write an answer to this very question. Now we have three parts in an answer, or I would say that I always categorize an answer into three simple parts. The first part is the introduction, the second part is the body, and the third part is the conclusion. Okay, now let's understand how we can write an introduction to this very question. Okay, now what we can do here, in writing an introduction to any answer for that matter, when you read a question, underline or identify the keywords in that question. Yes, keywords in that very question. In this question, I identified two keywords. The first keyword is the malnutrition, and the second keyword is the Poshan Abhiyan. Now, in introduction, what you can simply do without trying to bang your head on a wall, what you can simply do is define or write the definition of these keywords, either one of the keywords. You can pick the word malnutrition and define what is malnutrition, or either you can pick the word Poshan Abhiyan and define what is Poshan Abhiyan. So this will make your life simpler. You don't have to search for an introduction. In examination, you will have only 7 to 8 minutes to complete an answer for one question. So where will you think? So identify the keyword in a question and define it, as simple as that. Okay, so let's see, if we defined malnutrition, what is it we can write there? Okay, what is malnutrition? Malnutrition is a condition where one or more nutrients in a diet which are important for human health are either consumed less, than required or not at all consumed. There may be minerals or vitamins. Now, there are a few spelling mistakes here, so please don't mind, as you know, in the very typing this thing, we sometimes make mistakes. So kindly ignore all those spelling mistakes and focus on the concept here. Okay, kindly focus on the concept. So this is the definition of malnutrition. Define Poshan Abhiyan. If we define Poshan Abhiyan, then what we could have written? We could have written, firstly, we could have stated that it is also called as Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nutrition. It is the Government of India's flagship program to improve nutritional outcomes for children, pregnant women and lactating mothers. So these are the three stakeholders here: children, lactating mothers and pregnant women. Please understand. Okay, and it comes under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. So please remember this. This can be a prelims based question also, wherein a scheme will be given and you will be asked under which ministry it is kind of taken care. Okay, now this is a multi-sectoral result based mission. What do you mean by multi-sectoral? Multi-sectoral mean where other sectors also participate in kind of realizing the very targets of this mission. Okay, it's a multi-sectoral and it's a target based, result based. Please understand. One of the best part of this very mission is they have kept the targets. Number will speak now. So they have pretty much kept the targets and they are working towards the target. Okay. So this is how in 4 sentences we could have defined the so-called Poshan Abhiyan. So you can either define malnutrition or you can define Poshan Abhiyan in your introduction paragraph. Then we'll go to the body of this very answer. So what we shall explain in the body of this answer? There are 4 key points wherein we have to explain, or wherein I would be writing an answer, putting in an answer if I would have been writing this very question or attempting this question. The first thing is I would explain some of the facts on why malnutrition is not good. Now, I will not get into generalized way of answer writing. I will not say due to malnutrition there is stunting, due to malnutrition there is wasting. Yes, of course, you can write them. But however, I would rather focus on some of the key facts here. Okay, so some facts on why malnutrition is not good that I would have explained in a sentence or two. Then I would go on to explain what are the targets of the government to solve it. Has government kept any target in front of it? Is there anything they want to achieve in a stipulated number of years or in time? That is what I could, I would explain. Then the major challenge in achieving the target. Now, I would choose those challenges as per the demand of the question. Now here, the demand here is, using Poshan Abhiyan in reviving the old tradition methods of food system. So I would only pick those issues which are relevant to it and I will leave all other issues. If it would have been an essay based question, then I would have included everything. But it's not an essay question, it's a mains question and you don't have much time here. So I would only choose those questions which are relevant to reviving the older traditional food system of India. Okay, so I would kind of write the major challenges with respect to that, and at last how Poshan Abhiyan can tackle this. Now this is the heart of the question. Now I am funneling my question. Please understand, I am funneling it. What do you mean by funneling? I am slowly bringing my answer to the Poshan Abhiyan. As in Hindi they say, getting into the bottle, kind of batli mein utarna jaise bolte. So something of that sort. I'm slowly getting the answer to what is required, or what is asked in this very question. So I'm slowly funneling it. And then I'll say how Poshan Abhiyan can tackle this. And at last I'll come to the conclusion. So let's understand these 4 parts of the bodies. Okay. Now some facts on why there is malnutrition and why malnutrition is not good. The facts are, I would say, in 1990s, 46% children were stunted because of malnutrition. And the same children are now grown up and are part of workforce. So please understand. Now, as they are part of the workforce, less productivity and overall less growth of country's economy. Now, the same children who were, victims of malnutrition, they are now grown up and they are now contributing to the very workforce of the country. and because of their ill health, or because of their the issues with respect to malnutrition, their productivity level is very low, and because of that even the country's economy is getting affected. Please understand. Okay, now losses due to malnutrition is around $10 billion. Now, this is what I would also state in my answer, because it's one of the very important factor. Because of the malnutrition, our country is facing loss in the range of $10 billion. That means if we fix the malnutrition problem in our country, then very well every year we can add $10 billion to the exchequer's account. So please understand. Okay, now this is due to productivity loss. As I said, this is due to death and also due to the illness. So these are some of the factors I would mention. Now here what I'm doing is I'm presenting it to you as in a mind map kind of a thing. But when you write it down, kindly write it in sentences, integrating those sentences. That will make more sense. Okay. Next one, the next factor. So what are our targets to solve it? Do we have any targets as such? Yes, we do have. We want to achieve zero hunger target by 2030 and make nutritious food available to all. So this is the target of our government, to achieve zero hunger in India by 2030. And if we have to do that, it is only possible if at least in a day 50,000 people in India are taken out of that very so-called malnutrition levels. Okay, 50,000 people a day. If every day 50,000 people are taken out from that zone, then only then by 2030 we'll be able to achieve zero hunger target in this country. So this is one of the ambitious targets which government has set for itself. Okay, now what is a major challenge in achieving this target, this very zero hunger target? Now I'm funneling. I will not mention all the issues here. I'll mention only few issues. Okay, the few issue, and one of the major issue is gap in agriculture and nutritional link. So please understand what is meant by gap in agriculture and nutritional link. Agriculture is all about production. Now, if we want to increase the productivity, we might use modern technology by which the yield can be made high, more yield can be gotten. But getting more yield, is it the only important thing? Instead of getting half kg rice, if we get one full kg rice, then is the problem solved? No. Quantity is not the only issue here. Quality is also a factor. So please understand. Now what we are doing is we are focusing too much on the quantity and we are ignoring the quality, and that should not happen. And that is what exactly the major challenge here is. So there is a gap in agriculture and nutritional link. Okay. So as I said, this is because more emphasis is given on quantity of production than the quality of the production. So this is one of the issues or one of the challenges in achieving this target. Okay, now how Poshan Abhiyan can tackle this, how it can reduce the gap between agriculture and nutrition, how it can take the gap out, how it can create a link between them. This is the heart of the question, and this is the demand of the question. So if you answer this, then your examiner will be very happy and he can give you very good marks in this. Okay, so let's understand how Poshan Abhiyan can target this. Now here what we shall do is, we shall try to hit some of the aspects here. Firstly, what we'll do, we'll define what is Poshan Abhiyan. And then if you have not defined what is Poshan Abhiyan in the introduction, then you can very well define it here in this very body. Okay, so you can define first what exactly is Poshan Abhiyan. Next, what Poshan Abhiyan aims at. You can write it in 2 or 3 sentences. And then later what you can do, you have to write some of the important features of Poshan Abhiyan. In this case, there are 2 new and distinct features of Poshan Abhiyan which can help tackle this very malnutrition issue. Okay, and then we'll speak about Poshan Atlas or Bharatiya Poshan Krishi Kosh. Okay, and at last I have written that I have not included information on Poshan Ma and other aspects of Poshan Abhiyan because question demands more of revival of traditional food system. As I said, I am funneling it down. I am focusing only on the demand of the question and ignoring everything else. Okay, so let's understand what Poshan Abhiyan aims at, because we have already defined Poshan Abhiyan in the introduction. Okay, so if not there, then write it here. So what Poshan Abhiyan aims at? It aims at what? Targeted reduction. Targeted reduction matlab you have a number and you have a target and you have to reduce it and achieve those numbers. That is called as targeted reduction. Okay, targeted reduction of what? Of stunting, undernutrition, anemia, and low birth weight of babies at the time of birth. So these are the 4 factors which are targeted here in Poshan Abhiyan: stunting, undernutrition, anemia, and low birth weight of babies at the time of birth. Okay, now what are the 2 distinct and new features of Poshan Abhiyan? So let's understand them. Okay, first one, at agricultural level, it brings in and amalgamates knowledge of regional food systems. So at agricultural level, that is at farmers level, it will bring in the knowledge of regional food systems. Okay, now at some part of this country, some kind of grains are grown more and people consume them more. And at some other parts of the country, some other kinds of cereals or millets are grown more and their people consume it more. Just to give you an example, in South India, people consume more of rice. Okay, however in North India people consume more of wheat. Okay, now rice is very much kind of a staple food here, because growing rice is as per the climatic conditions, as per the soil conditions. It is rice can be grown here, paddy can be grown, but whereas in North India, as per the climatic and as per the soil conditions, wheat can be grown. Okay, in some parts we can grow cotton and in some parts we can't do it. In some parts we can grow sugarcane. These are because of the soil, climate and other conditions, right? So we have to know a particular place condition and what exactly it can produce for us, what kind of grains, cereals, food it can produce for us. So at agriculture level, it brings the knowledge of regional food systems. Okay, and at consumer level, that means at the people level who consume that food, who eat that food, it helps bring social and behavioral change in the consumption pattern of food. That famous dialogue we hear in some of the movies, makke di roti sarson da saag, right? So that all that makke di roti and sarson da saag, it is very particular to that region. And when people find it very nutrition they get that nutrition value in that food, they start to consume more of it. They have that pride in consuming that. So something of that kind. So even at consumer level, it helps bring social and behavioral change. All those people who are not now consuming burgers and pizzas in McDonald's and in other outlets, now they'll focus on makke di roti and sarson da saag, because now that is more closer to their region, and now they would know that would add more of the nutritious value to their food. Okay, so in these 2 aspects, Poshan Abhiyan plays a very important role. One, for the growers, for the farmers, who can grow that very food, and for the consumers, that is the people in that region who can consume that very food. Okay, now this will go back to roots and understand traditionally grown crops. So this will help us in the reviving of traditionally grown crops. Yes, now we are hitting the heart of the question. Okay, now let's understand here. Now, going back to the roots and understanding traditionally grown crops, how it will help? Now, it will help in increasing crop diversity, and thereby it will help in increasing diet diversity. So when the people of that region would know that something of this is possible, then they will increase, or they will kind of grow variety of crops there in that particular region. So more variety of crops will also make available variety of diet for the people, right? So that is very much possible here. The more variety of diet here, the more nutrition one can consume. So there is no question of malnutrition here. Okay, now in the previous point, guys, I forgot to discuss this with you. There was this social and behavioral change. They said that Poshan Abhiyan can bring in social and behavioral change. Now this was discussed in Economic Survey of 2018-2019. Okay, under nudge economics. So if some of you have read the economic survey, you would know, or you would have come across this very term called nudge economics. So what is nudge economics? Nudge economics is trying to change the behavioral aspect of the people and to kind of change their demand or influence their demand. Okay, not meeting the demand. Here you influence the demand. So these kind of so-called initiatives by the government will kind of nudge or create or influence the demand of the consumers. Please understand. So this was one of the aspect given in economic survey. You don't have to write this in your answer. I just wrote it to kind of give you an insight, as in to give you a kind of connection between economic survey and this very topic here. Okay? And this will also create an awareness, especially among parents, as in what they have to feed to their children. Okay, so this kind of awareness is created through Poshan Abhiyan. So let's move to the next point. Okay, now let's understand what is Poshan Atlas, which is also called as Bharatiya Poshan Krishi Kosh. Okay, so what is Poshan Atlas, why is it important, and how it works? So these are the three aspects which we will write here in this very portion or in this very paragraph of the body. So what is Poshan Abhiyan? Ministry of Women and Child Development, in association with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, is developing India's first Poshan Atlas, which is also called as Bharatiya Poshan Krishi Kosh. Okay, now what is this? This is a repository of diverse crops across 127 agroclimatic zones of this country. So it's a repository. It's a bunch of information which is available to the farmers and public, who can actually very well take the information and use it in their farming or consumption activities. Okay, so 127 agroclimatic zones, information of 127 agroclimatic zones. Please understand. Okay, now why is this very important? This is important because modern food system, due to globalization, has resulted in loss of knowledge and consumption of traditional, local, nutrient-rich food. Now, as I just said a few minutes back, because of Pizza Huts and Burger Kings and other franchisee, I'm not against that. Just give you an example. So because of that, our youth and this generation, people, they are more towards the consumption of those kind of food rather than what was traditionally made available in India, which is very nutritiously rich. So we are ignoring that and we are moving into the other path. So this will help us to regain that lost knowledge, to go back to our roots and to understand that what we had was indeed good for us. So this is what government is trying to attempt. So Bharatiya Poshan Krishi Kosh will help bring the traditional knowledge and consumption patterns of food and help bridge nutritional gap. So this is the importance of having a Poshan Atlas, and Poshan Atlas is a work done by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in association with Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. Okay, now this is also part of Poshan Abhiyan. And how it works? Let's understand how this works. So all stakeholders, before that, information about traditional crops and food consumption pattern is disseminated at district levels. So as I said, for 127 regions, the information is taken as in what their traditional food system was, and that information is given to all the districts. Okay, it is given district wise. Okay, and all stakeholders, that is farmers, government administrators or the administration and intermediaries, they will work to find local solutions based on the information given. So let's say if district ABC is suffering from malnutrition, if proper food, that is nutritious food, is not available to them, in that case they can use the given data and they can find out in those districts what were grown traditionally, what kind of food were grown, and they can kind of focus on that, get those nutritious food grown and then feed that same to the people and try to mitigate this very malnutrition issue. That can be done. Okay, now Poshan Cultural Atlas is also developed. What is this Poshan Cultural Atlas? It is a repository of traditional food and the cultural practices associated with the food system. For example, folk songs during harvesting, theaters, etc. Now, they will not only collect information regarding the traditional foods which were grown there, but also the culture which was involved with it or connected with it. Now, you could remember, or if you have grown up in villages, you would know that during the time of harvesting, people sing there, right? They sing. There are traditional folk songs, tribal songs. They do sing that. Now, those songs actually convey the very importance of that very harvesting. Or during the period of sowing, people, they have some cultural get together kind of a thing. Now that shows the importance of that. There are songs for seeds, there are songs for so many stuff. Okay, so this linkage will create an awareness about the importance of that very traditional food system. Okay, now people can connect better and understand better through local and traditional art forms. Now, even the dissemination of information becomes very, very easy if you actually present it to the people of that particular district or village in the language they can understand. And the best language is the art form, through theater, through their own songs, their traditional songs, their folk songs. If you can let them know that this is what their forefathers did, then it becomes very, very easy for them. They can understand it better and they can adopt to it in a much better way. So, Poshan Cultural Atlas can also be mentioned in this very answer here. Okay, so this completes the so-called body of the the answer here. So now what I'll do is now I'll take you towards the conclusion. So what is the conclusion? What it says the first sentence, or what I'll do, especially in a questions like this, wherein I don't need to criticize. Here I have to explain the significance. So what I'll do is I'll rather paraphrase or summarize of whatever I have written in the body. I'll just write the summary of it. So what I'll do, I'll rewrite in different ways. So the first sentence of the conclusion will be, Poshan Abhiyan helps change consumption style of people and will help farmers and agro-processing industries to diversify and to meet people's demand. Now, this is the outcome of it. So I would write the outcome as a conclusion and I'll take it to the end of the answer. Okay, so the agro-processing industries as well as the farmers will benefit from it. Agro-processing industries are those which add value to the food processing industry. Okay, this will not only help farmers and agro industries to make good income, but also customers in turn is made available a wide variety of traditional nutritious food. Right, so it's a win-win situation. Not only the farmers and the agro-processing industries, but also the consumers, they are benefited by it. They are getting good nutritious food here. So it's a win-win situation, right? So the next one, as one size doesn't fit all, right? One solution may not be sufficient to tackle nutritional challenges of an entire diverse nation like ours. So we cannot have just one strategy. That strategy which is applicable or worked in Punjab may not work in Tamil Nadu. The one which worked in Meghalaya may not be working in Maharashtra. So we cannot have that. So this very Poshan Abhiyan mission will help us to come up with unique solutions. And those unique solutions will be very much local in nature. As I said, solution of district A may not be same as solution of district B, because the traditional food system of district A is not similar to traditional food system of district B. So when we know our own lands or local traditional food system, only then we'll be able to come up with good nutritional food, which will be making not only benefit the growers, that is farmers, but also the consumers, that is we the people. Okay, so Poshan Abhiyan would play a significant role and help bring all the stakeholders like communities and administration together to shoulder up the responsibility of getting rid of nutritional issues, making it a Jan Andolan. Now, this Jan Andolan term is very much associated with Poshan Abhiyan. Okay, so this is a reason I thought let me bring this in conclusion. Okay, and kind of finish it with a bang, give a good point and then conclude the answer. So this is like all the stakeholders are coming together and they are taking the responsibility. Now it's no more just the government here. Even the people, even the growers, the farmers, everyone have to take the responsibility of it, and then we can very well fight this very malnutrition menace here. Okay, so with this we'll conclude it. I hope this was very useful to you. We'll come next Monday again with the next question, or if you have any question, you can leave it in the comment section. Okay, so I'll try to solve that for you and then explain how to solve that that very question also at the same time. Okay, so do not forget to like this video, share this with your other friends, and keep writing in the comment section. This will not only help me but also boost the entire team's morale. All right, all the best, take care, bye bye, see you next Monday.